Hi, I'm Mark Demler, General Manager with Safe Security, and this session is going to give you a quick overview of the installation tips for installing your Honeywell wireless smoke detector. First step is open the box and remove the sensor from the box as it comes from our shipping team. You'll find several things are included in the box. The detector comes with a cover. Leave the cover on it through the course of installation. You don't want dust in the detector. The mounting hardware, screws and fasteners come with it, as well as more detailed instructions, which you may want to spend a little extra time on. We'll give you the short tips, the most important pieces in this video on how to install it. First choice is where you're going to mount the detector. Generally, these detectors are mounted in the central bedroom area, common hallway to a bedroom area to protect your folks while they sleep at home. If you have purchased more than one of the detectors, we recommend them one on each floor of the house if you have a multi-level house. What's almost as important is the areas to avoid. You definitely want to avoid smoky, steamy, or hot areas. For example, you don't want a smoke detector in the kitchen. You would not want to place one near a fireplace. If you've got a family room with a wood stove, you wouldn't want to put a smoke detector there. And frankly, you don't want them near areas like a shower where there's steam. Somebody having a good hot shower in the morning, opening that door, walking out into a cool room, the hallway will pick up that steam and the smoke detector will see that as smoke and could cause false alarms. So if you have a bathroom along that common hallway, locate the detector 6-8 feet away from that if you can. The next step is to choose the physical mounting location once you've chosen the general area to mount the detectors. They perform best if they're on a ceiling, although they can be mounted on walls also. If you choose a ceiling, choose the highest ceiling available. Remember, smoke rises with heat, so if you choose a lower ceiling area, the smoke could just rise past the detector. So you may want a second one at a higher floor if you have an open floor plan. In any event, if you do choose to mount it on a ceiling, move it in at least 6 inches away from the wall. That corner area is very stagnant and smoke will not come through the wall area to detect. Same thing if you're mounting the smoke detector on a wall. Mount it as high as you can, but mount it about 6 inches down from the ceiling. For the same reason, avoid putting the smoke detectors in corners. Don't get within 2 feet of a corner. That's very stagnant air. Smoke in a fire condition will tend not to drift into the corners as quickly. It'll delay detection of an alarm condition. Okay, the first step, again, leaving the orange cover on it for now, is you'll remove the detector from the base. Separate the two. Just simply twist it counterclockwise. It's just a light twist and a click. And take the two pieces apart. Set the detector aside for the moment. And it's the mounting base that you'll be using as a template. Don't use any fastening material other than the provided fasteners with sheetrock anchors, or if you prefer to use something different from your Home Depot collection in the house, like Zippets, things like that. They're great to mount the detectors with. There is some weight to these. We don't want to use adhesives. We don't want to use sticky back tape for these. They will come off the ceiling. They do need to be affixed into the ceiling. It's easy enough to use these fasteners. You can poke a hole in your sheetrock with a simple screwdriver and drive the small red fasteners into the hole. Then when the screw is placed into the fastener, it causes the fastener to open up and situates it firmly on the ceiling. Use the actual detector base as the template. So you can see these slotted holes here. You can mount the screws anywhere along these holes. If you prefer, use a pen and mark the ceiling at either end of the large hole openings. Then you would mount the anchors and then the screwed into the anchor, and you simply would fit the base on over the screws and just twist it about 10 degrees so it locks into place. Now the detector is firmly seated against the ceiling. If you need to tighten down your screws a couple of extra turns to make sure it sits flush and doesn't rock, you do that at that point in time. Notice on the device there is a tamper switch built in, the tamper lever that matches with the tamper switch on the back of the detector itself. The detector must be in place on its base for the system to clear. So if you're for some reason taking the detectors down to clean the battery, to replace the battery on some future date, you'll actually cause the alarm system to go into trouble. So just be aware, the system is aware as to whether these are mounted or if they've been taken off or not. So at this point in time, you will actually remove the battery tab, and that will, the cardboard tab that will actually engage the battery and power up the sensor. The sensor does come pre-programmed. So if you read the detailed instruction sheets, it talks about programming at this point. It talks about learning, or we call enrolling the sensor. Don't worry about that. We've done all of that for you before we shipped it. So at this point, you have your base mounted to the wall of the ceiling. You can remove the tab from the battery, causing the battery to engage. The sensor is now powered up. You can attach it to the base. In our case, I'll show you, there is a mounting notch on the side of the base, and there is an alignment notch on the head. Just simply slot them in, rotate it till it clicks. Now you can remove the cover off of your sensor. It's live now. And you'll notice with it powered up that the two LEDs will pulse approximately every 5 seconds for about the first 20 seconds. That will tell you the sensor is setting itself up, it's communicating with the panel, it's clearing its logic, and it's ready to go. Thereafter, it will actually have just the green LED pulsing every 10 seconds. And that'll be the normal indication for the future that the sensor is powered, it's testing, it's sampling the air, it's checking in with the control panel, and it's ready to activate should a fire or smoke condition occur in your house. I had to leave the cover on all of this time because you don't want dust to get into the chamber of the detector. Dust has a tendency to look like smoke to a smoke detector. So once you've finished making all the holes, mounting the screws, putting everything in place, that is the right time to remove this cover. If you're ever going to do any remodeling in your house or in the process of remodeling when you buy your system, you may want to leave this cover on to keep the detector clean. Okay? And this brings up a very good point about smoke detectors in general. The only maintenance you need to perform upon these is every 6 months we recommend that you run a vacuum cleaner around the outside edge. That will actually pull any dust that's accumulated in the detector over the 6 months out. You'll find that over the course of time, the only true false alarm conditions that occur with smoke detectors is over the course of 5 or 6 years in the average home environment. There will be enough dust accumulated in there to start looking like smoke, and you find you may experience a false alarm, and it's very easy to remedy that by vacuuming out once every 6 months. We recommend maybe 4th of July and Christmas time, and that'll keep your detector healthy and long-lived. Anything else that occur with this detector is simply battery replacement. The control panel will tell you in approximately 7 years when the battery is starting to get low. It will tell you exactly which detector you need to pay attention to, and at that time, once again, you'll just rotate the detector off its base, you'll remove the battery, and you'll simply replace it with a new one. And these batteries are very commonly available through any store. They're standard CR123 batteries, Home Depot, smaller hardware stores, again, very common. Replace the battery, put the detector back in place, lock it in, and that's all there is to it. And the system will self-restore. Testing your detector. We do recommend you test the detector from time to time. Certainly once a month is a standard recommendation. I certainly would at least do it a couple of times a year. And the testing procedure is very simple. There are, next to the two LEDs, one side is the sounder. You can notice this with the bar over the cover. Don't put anything in there. But this other little cutout with the silver disc down inside, that's actually the test button. And you press in any object you have, whether it's a toothpick, an opened up a paper clip as I've used is a simple way to do it, a bobby pin, anything that'll get down in there, the point of a long pen, and simply press into that hole and hold that disc switch down for about 10 seconds, and the detector will then sound off. It will also cause the alarm panel to activate fire, send a signal to the monitoring station. Of course, as with any testing with your system, call the Safe Alarm Central Station, talk to our monitoring staff, provide them with your account number, advise them you're going to test your system, and then go ahead and perform these tests. When you're finished, reset the alarm panel with your code, contact the monitoring station again, and verify that the signal made it all the way through the station. And this will perform a complete end-to-end test of your fire and security system. And it's a good idea to do that entire testing on a frequent basis. Finally, should the detector trip, whether, again, a steam condition occurs or it's actual smoke, once the smoke condition has been remedied and everyone at the house is safe, the way to restore the sensor is simply fan it with a piece of paper or a newspaper, which will simply blow any smoke or accumulated steam or dust out of the sensor itself. The sensor will then self-restore. Once the sounder in the sensor silences, make your way to your fire alarm control panel, your safe at home panel, enter your code and clear the sounder there, and your sensors will be reset and your panel's ready to go again. Thank you. That pretty much wraps it up for wireless smoke detector installation for today.